Last weekend, it officially became summer. For summer, for me, I always have a ton going on. Then some days I just have absolutely nothing to do. And sometimes I'll just lay outside or go to the beach or something like that. But one constant of every summer is that I love to read. And if you guys know me, then you guys know that I have a ton of books that I read. I frequent the same authors. I really have a style of book that I love to read, that I love to relax and just get myself invested in a story. I went through my huge book collection and I picked out the books that I recommend to you guys and that I stress that you read this summer. If you just take away one book, that's great. If you take away a series, that's amazing. Yeah, and if you take away none, then just recommend your favorite book to me that I should check out because I'm always looking for new books to read. I have a couple that I'm going to show you, but yeah, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with the books that I recommend to you guys. Now, I went through my collection and I didn't want to recommend books that didn't have a summer vibe to them or ones that I felt like everyone has read already. For example, I decided to leave out John Green's The Fault in Our Stars because that was just a movie and I'm sure that 99% of you have already read that. If you haven't, then go read it. The first author that I'm going to focus on is Jenny Han. Now, if you guys haven't been watching me for a while and you haven't heard me talk about Jenny Han, but I definitely have a couple of times. She's someone that hasn't written very many books, but the few that I've read from her, I just absolutely love. I feel like she really connects to me as a teen, and I find her stories really compelling, and they're just a light read. They're not anything too super harsh. They're just really cute kind of teen novels. The one that I love the most, I have read this series of 3 books probably around 5 to 10 times. I really love it. Whenever I go on vacation, if I'm going to someplace that's beachy, or if it's just the summer, I will read this. I am just so in love with this book. I really, really recommend it. This is The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. So there are 3 books: The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. This series revolves around main character Belly, who is still in high school, and every summer she goes to a place called Cousins Beach where she spends the summer with her family friends. So Belly's mom, Beck, had a best friend, Susanna, who had 2 boys, and Belly also has a brother who's in the story. And this basically revolves around the fact that Belly has always had a crush on this boy Conrad, who is her mom's friend's son, who she always spends the summer with. Her summer life with these boys has always kind of been revolved around the fact that she's the youngest and she's the only girl there for the summer, and they kind of see her differently this one summer where she finally feels like she's grown up and she's finally become someone that they see as a girl and they see as someone that could possibly be more than just their family friend that they spend the summer with. It's a really nice story. I really love this one. I've connected with it, and I think it makes you realize the way that other people perceive you is all about the confidence that you radiate, and I just absolutely love this book. I find this story so touching. I never get tired of it, and I just feel like I become more in love with this book every time that I read it. It's one of those books that you really just can devour over and over again. So yeah, that is The Summer I Turned Pretty. Following suit with another Jenny Han book, it's the book by Jenny Han, To All the Boys I've Loved Before. This book follows Lara Jean, who is a middle child in a family of 3 girls, and she basically has always been reliant on her older sister to kind of show her her way, and it's really the person that she loves the most in her life, and that is her best friend. And when her sister goes away to college, she is the one that has to step up to the plate because their mom passed away when they were younger. And she writes these love letters to boys throughout her lifetime that just kind of help her get over them and help her move on from her crushes on them. And one day, all of these letters get sent out by accident. She doesn't know how, and she kind of faces a lot of splashback, I guess. It's really interesting. It ends on kind of a weird note, but I found out that it's actually a series. This is just a really nice book for any teen girl, I think. It really gets into your girly side. And yeah, I love this one. Sticking with my young adult novels, one of my favorite all-time authors is Sarah Dessen. I have read every book that Sarah Dessen has come out with, and these are the books that I feel like are the most summer-oriented for me, that I can just reread all the time and fall in love with the stories. I've read most of her books 2 times at least, but these I really love and I've read more than a couple times. Sarah Dessen's books reach out to kind of the hardships that a girl can face and more issues that kind of go on in their lives. I find that whenever I read her book, it's more of a coming-of-age novel for women, and it's more about overcoming something that an everyday person could face. So some of her books go on with child abuse, with being abandoned, with being teen pregnant, with drug abuse, anything like that that a teenage girl could be going through. And that's why I really love her books, because they're never the same thing. They always obviously are teen novels, so they have very similar stories and kind of characters, but every character is unique, and I feel like when she tells a story in her books, there's always something unique about it that I can learn from. This first one I'm actually rereading right now, and it's The Moon and More. Sarah Dessen released this book last year. This book follows Emmeline, whose family owns a beach house rental company on the shore of Colby, but it follows Emmeline, who has been in a relationship with her boyfriend for I think it's around 5 years, and it's the summer right before college, and a lot has changed for her in her life, and she's kind of had a lot of different emotional turmoils. So this is the summer when she feels like she just has to change something and get out of her box, and she'll make some decisions that she's not too sure about and that she may come to regret, or that she may come to feel like she's grown from. But I really like this book. I'm reading it for the second time, like I said, and I'm really enjoying it once again. This Lullaby is the next book from Sarah Dessen that I'm going to talk about, and I've read this one probably like 5 times. This book follows Remy. And Remy is the girl that is never super emotionally invested in her relationships. She's never scared to pull the plug. She doesn't take them too seriously. A lot of it comes from the fact that her mom has remarried so many times. She never knew her father. He passed away before she was born, or just when she was born, I think. And yeah, so she finally meets someone who changes all of that. He's not what she would expect at all. And it's really interesting to see how she kind of grows in this one. I feel like you can really learn a lot about other people or yourself in this book and in Remy as a character. It's a great summer one because I don't think it really talks about school in this one, but it's a really kind of interesting story that I always find is relaxing, but again, I learned something from this one. Along for the Ride. I don't know if you guys have heard of this book, but this is one that I've really loved, and I've had to stop myself from reading this because whenever I want to pick up another Sarah Dessen book to read or to reread from my collection, I always want to go with this one, but I can't like keep reading this one, so I have to stop myself. But I think that you guys should read this one. This is another Sarah Dessen book, and this was one that took place in Colby, the same beach town that I said was in the other book. This follows Auden, who spends the summer at Colby with her father and his new wife and their new baby, and she doesn't feel like it's her place, and she doesn't feel like Colby is the place for her at all. And eventually you kind of see how she learns to grow and how she kind of finds herself within her kind of dual family structure, because she has her mom, who she loves so much, and then she has her dad, who she just never felt like had the time for her. And it has a really lovely romance side to it with Eli, who is like the hunky, roading, like bike guy. She just gets to discover a whole world that she never really knew. So I love this one, and this one makes me feel like summers are meant for adventures. So if you guys feel like summers are meant for adventures, read this book, because that is what I kind of get from it. Sorry if those authors if the fact that there were only 2 authors bothered you guys, but I just love their books, and if you guys want me to talk about other books that aren't from those authors, then I will. But now I'm going to share with you guys the books that I will be reading this summer and that are new books for me. The first one that I really wanted to read going into this summer is some sort of classic novel. If you guys didn't know this, I'm an English major in college, and reading is just something that I love, and I know that I'm going to have to read this book eventually, so I figured why not do it this summer. I hear people talking about it all the time, so my friends that are older than me have already read this and really love the book, not for the story, but because of how captivating it is for a story that you don't want to read. That's kind of the vibe I've gotten from it. If you guys haven't guessed already, this is Lolita. Lolita was written by Vladimir Nabokov. I think I might have butchered that. But it's basically a story about a college professor who falls in love with a young girl. I don't know too much about it. I don't want to give too much of it away. Yeah. So this can be pretty creepy, pretty pervy. And I know that there are a bunch of movies on it, or 2 movies on it. I'm really interested to see where this book goes. Again, it's obviously a classic, so I know that it's going to be a good book, but hopefully it doesn't disturb me too much, because I know I'll have to read it again for some sort of English class in the future. I can't get away from my teen novel obsession, so I wanted to find a new author because, as you guys can tell already, I stick to my favorite authors and they don't have any books that I haven't read out. So I wanted to pick out a new one, and this kept coming up on Amazon whenever I ordered books. So I decided to go ahead and indulge in it and see how I feel about this author. This is written by Huntley Fitzpatrick. Oh, I thought it was a man. Apparently Huntley's a woman. Sorry, Huntley, if you ever see this, which I doubt. This is called My Life Next Door. It says a boy, a secret, and a choice. This book, from the little excerpt on the back, is about a girl named Samantha who basically has one kind of household where everything's really neat, and her neighbors next door have a completely different kind of lifestyle, and she ends up falling for her neighbor. Not sure where this is gonna go. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I really like the cover, which for teen novels, I feel like the cover means a lot. That is not how you're supposed to judge a book, but I totally do it, and I liked the excerpt that I read on it. There were a ton of reviews that were really great about this on Amazon. So I'm really excited for this, and she has a ton of other books, and I think this is actually a series. So if I like this, I will definitely be picking up the other ones, and I have high hopes for it. And it's so cute. This is going to be like the perfect novel to read at the beach this summer. I wanted to pick up something that wouldn't be super serious, that was still a casual read, but that wasn't what I typically went for. I head over to the New York Times book list. And if you guys don't know what the New York Times book list, basically ask anyone older than you, because I'm sure that they'll read it. I learned about it because my grandma loves reading, and every Sunday she picks up the New York Times book list and she'll pick a book from it basically. So I turned to there and I just kind of looked through, you can find it online, I looked through the different books that they had listed until I found one that its name actually called out to me because I had heard of it on YouTube before. It's called The Husband's Secret by Leon Moriarty. This book is about a wife who finds a letter that her husband wrote for her for after he dies. In this case, she finds it before he's actually died. So that could be potentially really awkward. I liked the idea of this book because, one, it seems like it could be really dramatic, but I've read that this is actually comedic in a way. And the other reason why I like this is because it's about a woman who already has a family, who already is married, who's settled in life, who's a business person. It's not about teens in high school, something that technically I've surpassed already. So I thought that this would be interesting, and I have liked books like this before, and I have really high hopes for it. Again, the cover is really cool. Yeah, so that is it for my summer reads book collection or book recommendations. I hope that you guys liked it, and don't forget to leave me your favorite book below. Make sure that you check back on Monday for my next 50 videos, a summer video, and follow me on Twitter because if my video is going up late, I normally talk about it there. And yeah, next week I have some really exciting videos that I'm excited to share with you guys. And make sure that you check out my video from Wednesday, which actually went up just yesterday because that one was late, which I'll link at the end of the video. I'll see you guys next time, and I hope that you guys are having a fantastic start of summer, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! So it was recently requested requested for me to show you guys how I do my eyeliner.